What makes a soldier pose for a drone just seconds before the inevitable? On the front lines, the unexpected is routine. Russian soldiers run across open fields, helicopters are shot down, and no shelter is truly safe. A drone enters a hangar, and everything turns to smoke. What you're about to see isn't fiction. It's war as it really happens. If you want to understand why no one escapes Ukrainian drones, stay with us. What you are about to see contains sensitive footage from the Ukraine-Russia conflict. It is presented strictly for documentary purposes. On the front lines, anything can happen. But one episode caught our attention. Drone operators from Ukraine's 1st Tank Brigade managed to identify a group of Russian soldiers who had taken 3 Ukrainian soldiers as prisoners. With the goal of rescuing their comrades, the Ukrainians launched a coordinated offensive. The precision and speed of the engagement left the Russians stunned. Unable to withstand the attack, they retreated in a hurry, abandoning the captured Ukrainian soldiers. Through continuous aerial surveillance, the Russian troops were located. Some Russian soldiers ran to take cover in trenches, while others calmly accepted their fate. The footage shows that every attempt to escape ended in neutralization by Ukrainian forces. The images were captured by an operator from the so-called Freedom Force, clearly showing the surrender of the Russian troops, who silently accepted the inevitable. A striking drone-recorded scene took place in the village of Klishchiivka in the Donetsk region. Ukrainian drones carried out an operation targeting Russian soldiers on motorcycles. The engagement begins with a series of strikes. During the clash, one motorcycle is immobilized, and with no chance to escape, the soldier strikes a pose for the drone before it launches a second attack, highlighting the effectiveness of Ukrainian drones in combat. A buggy is spotted on the front line, transporting several Russian soldiers. However, a Ukrainian FPV drone begins an offensive against the vehicle. On the front line in Klishchiivka, located in the Zaporizhzhia region in southern Ukraine, Russia's 43rd Motorized Rifle Brigade launched an offensive aiming to seize strategic positions. However, Ukrainian drones from the 108th Air Assault Regiment responded and successfully thwarted the enemy's advance. In the footage, we see a recently trained Ukrainian drone pilot aiming to shoot down moving aerial targets. The first attempt fails. Persisting, he launches a new offensive that hits the target. Recent footage reveals the precision of Ukrainian drones. Amid the clashes, Russian soldiers attempt to flee across open fields, but end up being neutralized. Russian soldiers are seen entering a shelter. They heard and spotted the Ukrainian drone, so they tried to take cover. However, there was no chance for that to happen. The drone begins the offensive. Stunning footage shows a Russian Ka-52 attack helicopter being located and taken down by a Ukrainian FPV drone with a remote detonation. Reports revealed that the 3rd Assault Brigade successfully liberated the village of Nadia, located in the Luhansk region, recovering 3 square kilometers of territory. The operation was led by the brigade's 1st Assault Battalion and resulted in the neutralization of the Russian 752nd and 254th Mechanized Regiments. Ukrainian soldiers released footage of the battle, which lasted 30 hours, following 2 months of Russian forces' resistance to hold control of the village. footage shows Ukrainian paratroopers supported by armored vehicles successfully stopping the advance of Russian forces in the Andriivka area. We observe an offensive against a trench occupied by Russian soldiers. Additionally, drones managed to destroy a Russian communication antenna and cause the collapse of the structure used to coordinate their actions. Near the village of Zaporizhzhia, located within the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, footage reveals Ukrainian FPV drones launching an offensive to halt the advance of Russian troops. The main focus of the engagement was on tanks and armored vehicles. Additionally, drone operators from the Ukrainian 47th Brigade carried out an assault on the Russian Drone Command Center, dealing a significant blow to the enemy's electronic warfare capabilities. The footage captured in March shows 4 Russian soldiers walking in an open field. However, what they didn't expect was a Ukrainian drone. The operator didn't hesitate and launched an offensive. Using Ukrainian drones, the Phoenix border guards carried out several offensives near Kramatorsk, a strategic city in eastern Ukraine within the Donetsk region. During one of the operations, a group of 4 Russian soldiers moving through the area was spotted. Aiming to immobilize the vehicle, the drone operator targeted the front section to ensure the vehicle was completely disabled and unable to continue moving. In this footage, a Russian soldier is hiding inside a building, but he doesn't go unnoticed. The drone begins its attack, diving in. Even though the soldier tried to repel the strike, he was unsuccessful. Fiber optic drones have become well known in the Ukraine-Russia war due to their ability to evade anti-drone detection systems. In another operation using a fiber optic drone, enemy vehicles are identified inside a Russian-held hangar. The drone carefully selects its target and aims for the most effective impact point, diving onto an armored BMP vehicle. Shortly after, another drone targets and launches an offensive on a second armored vehicle, successfully immobilizing it. The sequence of attacks caused significant disruption to Russian movements, including armored units, artillery, and troops. In this footage, a location being used by Russian forces as a shelter is identified. Ukrainian drone operators carry out reconnaissance, and upon confirming the location, they launch the offensive. In these images, we see a Russian soldier riding a motorcycle, but a Ukrainian drone locates him. The drone locked onto the target and carried out the engagement, neutralizing the threat. Drone operators, using a fiber optic guided FPV drone, locate another structure housing Russian tanks and ammunition. The drone, calmly searching for the best spot to neutralize the tank, begins the engagement. It finds a weak point in the tank and successfully disables the armored vehicle. The footage shows a Russian soldier who thought that climbing a tree would help him against a Ukrainian drone offensive. The result was inevitable.
Soldier, support HQ with a sticker. It helps the channel grow. Or if you want to get even closer, join the squad as an official member.
The following footage shows 3 Ukrainian soldiers embarking on a high-risk mission. Their objective is to sabotage and conduct reconnaissance of Russian positions. Drones locate the Russian hideouts, and the offensive is launched. After the attack, the soldiers decide to change positions. However, in the perimeter, other Ukrainian drones are already operating. With another drone offensive, the last Russian soldier tries to find a new hiding spot, but he is already being tracked by another drone. The soldier hides under a truck and After the entire drone offensive, the Ukrainian soldiers managed to advance and continue their mission, now guided by a drone. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. Prove it. Drop a like.